The first time Amara Johnson saw him, he wasn't surrounded by bodyguards or flashing wealth. He was alone, standing in the rain, and bleeding. The alley behind the restaurant was never meant for moments that change lives. It was a narrow, forgotten strip between dumpsters and cracked brick walls, the kind of place people avoided after dark. But Amara had always taken that route home. Shorter, quieter, cheaper than calling a cab in a city that never slowed down. That night, London felt colder than usual. She had just finished a double shift, her feet aching, her mind somewhere between exhaustion and survival mode. Her headphones had died hours ago, leaving her alone with the sound of rain tapping against her hoodie. Then she saw him. At first she thought he was just another drunk man leaning against the wall, but something about the way he stood, too still, too controlled, made her slow down. Then she noticed the blood, dark, fresh, spreading through his white shirt. "Hey," she said cautiously, stepping closer. "You okay?" He didn't answer. His head tilted slightly as if registering her voice through layers of pain. When his eyes finally met hers, something in her chest tightened. They were sharp, alert, dangerous, not the eyes of a helpless man. "I'm fine," he said, his voice low-accented. He wasn't fine. Amara had seen enough people struggle in silence to recognize it instantly. She worked long hours, sent money back home, and carried the quiet weight of being strong when no one asked how she was doing. She knew what it meant to say, "I'm fine," when everything inside was breaking. "You're bleeding through your shirt," she replied, stepping closer despite the warning in his gaze. "That's not fine." He watched her carefully, like a man calculating risk. "You should leave," he said. Amara crossed her arms. "Yeah, not happening." Something flickered in his expression, surprise, maybe even disbelief. Most people would have walked away. Amara didn't. She took off her scarf, stepping into his space before he could protest. "Hold still." His body tensed the moment her fingers brushed against him. Up close, she could see more. The clean lines of his face, the controlled breathing, the way he held himself like someone used to command. Even injured, he didn't look weak. He looked restrained. "Who did this to you?" she asked, pressing the fabric gently against the wound. Silence. Then quietly, "A people who won't stop." That should have been her cue to walk away. Instead, she sighed. Great," she muttered. So you're either in trouble or you are the trouble." For a brief second, something almost like amusement crossed his face. Both," he said. Amara shook her head. Amara shook her head. Figures. The rain picked up, soaking them both. She glanced around the empty alley, then back at him. "You can't stay here," she said. "You'll pass out, or worse." "I won't." "I won't." "You might." Another pause. Then she made a decision that didn't make sense even to her. "Come with me." His eyes narrowed. "Why?" she shrugged. "Because you need help, and because I'd rather regret helping than regret walking away." For a long moment, neither of them moved. Then slowly he pushed himself off the wall. He was taller than she expected. Stronger too, though the way he slightly leaned toward her told a different story. Just don't die on me halfway there," she said, slipping his arm over her shoulder. "I won't," he replied, but his voice was quieter now. Her apartment wasn't much. A small rented space above a closed shop. Barely enough room for a bed, a table, and a life she was still trying to build. But it was clean, safe. And tonight it became something else, a sanctuary. Amara helped him sit down, quickly grabbing a first aid kit. "All right," she said, kneeling in front of him. "This is gonna hurt. I've had worse. I've had worse." Oh, yeah, you don't look like it." A faint smirk. She cleaned the wound carefully, her hand steady despite the situation. He didn't flinch much, but she noticed the way his jaw tightened. "You don't ask questions," he said after a while. "Oh, I have questions," she replied. "A lot of them. I'm just choosing not to ask yet." "Oh, why?" Because right now you're a human being who's hurt," she said simply. "That's enough for me." That surprised him, more than he expected. Most people saw status, power, fear. She saw a person. When she finished, she leaned back, studying her work. "You'll live," she said. "I wasn't worried." Good for you." A quiet settled between them. Then he spoke again. "You helped me," he said, almost like he was testing the words. "Yeah, but without knowing who I am." Amara met his gaze. "Do I need to?" Another silence. Then, slowly, he stood. "I should go." "Already?" she asked. "You can barely stand." "I've stayed too long." Something about the way he said it made her chest tighten slightly. Like he wasn't just talking about the room. She walked him to the door anyway. "I try not to get stabbed again," she said lightly. Well, I'll try. He stepped into the hallway, then paused. For the first time, there was hesitation in him. What's your name? He asked. Amara. He nodded slowly as if committing it to memory. Then, after a beat, Jihoon, and just like that, he was gone. 3 days passed. Amara almost convinced herself it had been a strange, one-time moment. The kind of story you tell later and laugh about, until the black cars appeared outside her building. Until men in suits stood at her door, and until she heard his voice again. You shouldn't have helped me, Jihoon said quietly as he stepped inside her apartment. He looked different. Clean, composed, powerful, but his eyes were the same. And yet, Amara replied, crossing her arms. Here you are. He studied her for a long moment, then said something that made her heart skip. I couldn't forget you. The room felt smaller, quieter, more dangerous. You saved my life, he continued. And he continued. Amara shrugged. Anyone would have done the same. Jihoon shook his head slowly. I know, he said. They wouldn't have. A pause. Then softer. And now, I can't let you go. Amara let out a short, disbelieving laugh. Yeah, no, she said, shaking her head. Oh, that's not how this works. Jihoon didn't move. Didn't blink, didn't even look offended. If you think I'm joking, he said calmly, you don't understand the situation. I think that makes two of us, she shot back. Oh, because last time I checked, helping someone doesn't sign me into whatever this is. Her apartment suddenly felt too small for the tension building inside it. Behind him, the hallway was no longer empty. Shadows shifted. Men in suits, watching, waiting. Amara noticed. Of course she did. Her jaw tightened. You brought people to my place? She said, voice dropping. Are you serious right now? They're here for your protection. I didn't ask for protection. You didn't ask to get involved either, Jihoon replied evenly. That hit harder than she expected. Because he was right. She hadn't asked for any of this. But she also hadn't expected the man she saved to walk back into her life like a storm she couldn't outrun. Amara took a breath, forcing herself to stay steady. She said slowly, let's pretend for a second that I believe you. What exactly am I in danger from? Jihoon hesitated. It was subtle. Most people wouldn't have caught it, but Amara did. Jihoon. He looked at her, and for the first time there was something unguarded in his expression. You saw me that night, he said quietly. You saw where I was, what condition I was in, and people don't survive that unless they're part of something bigger. Her stomach dropped slightly. You're saying someone might come looking for you? Yes. And if they do, she trailed off. They'll find you, he finished, silence heavy, uncomfortable. Amara looked away, running a hand through her hair. This is insane, she muttered. I help one guy, one time, and suddenly I'm in some kind of danger because of it? Yes. She laughed again, but this time there was no humor in it. Unbelievable. Jihoon stepped closer, his voice softer now. Why didn't come here to threaten you? Then why did you come? To make sure you're safe. She looked back at him, eyes sharp. And the I can't let you go part, another pause. Then, that wasn't just about danger. Something shifted in the air. Amara felt, and she didn't like how it made her heart react. You don't even know me, she said, quieter now. I know enough. I know you don't. Jihoon studied her like he was trying to memorize every detail she was trying to hide. You stayed, he said, when you had every reason to leave. Now that doesn't mean anything. It means everything. Her chest tightened. She turned away from him, pacing a few steps. I didn't do it for you, she said. I did it because it was the right thing to do. I know. And then don't make it something bigger than that. Jihoon didn't answer immediately. Oh. When he did, his voice carried something heavier. It already is. That night, Amara didn't sleep. Not really. Every sound felt louder, every shadow sharper. And outside, the black cars didn't leave. She stood by the window, arms wrapped around herself, staring down at the street. This wasn't her life. It wasn't supposed to be. She had plans. Simple ones, work, stability, maybe something more someday, but something normal. Not this, not him. A knock at the door pulled her from her thoughts. Her heart jumped. Amara. Jihoon's voice came from the other side. Open the door. She hesitated, then walked over and pulled it open just enough to see him. What now? She asked. I need you to come with me. No. Amara. I said no, she repeated, firmer this time. You don't get to just show up, bring chaos into my life, and then tell me where to go. His expression didn't change, but something in his eyes darkened. It's not a request, and that's exactly the problem. Silence stretched between them again. Then, a sudden noise from downstairs. Shouting, glass breaking. Amara froze. Jihoon didn't. His entire body shifted instantly. Alert, focused, dangerous. "They're here," he said. Her breath caught. "What do you mean they're here?" But she already knew. The fear creeping up her spine wasn't confusion. It was recognition. This was real. Too real. Jihoon stepped forward, closing the distance between them. "And now you understand," he said quietly, "why you can't stay." Another crash echoed through the building. Closer this time, Amara's hands trembled slightly, but she clenched them into fists. "Who are they?" she whispered. "People who don't forgive mistakes. And helping you was a mistake?" Jihoon looked at her. "No," he said. "It was the one thing that changed everything." Footsteps thundered up the stairs, fast, closing in. Jihoon grabbed her hand. "Mara," he said, voice low and urgent, "trust me." For a split second, she hesitated. Then another bang at the end of the hallway, and something inside her made the decision before her mind could catch up. "Fine," she said. But if I die, I'm haunting you." A faint, almost invisible smile touched his lips. "You won't die." "You sound very sure about that." "I am." He pulled her out into the hallway just as the door downstairs slammed open. Voices shouted. Men. Angry. Searching. Amara's heart pounded as they moved quickly toward the back exit. "This way, Jihoon." She followed, because at this point there was no other choice. The cold night air hit her face as they stepped outside. One of the black cars was already waiting. Doors open. Engine running. "Get in," he ordered. She didn't argue this time. As the car sped off into the night, Amara glanced back at her building, her home, her normal life. Getting smaller, further away, gone. She turned slowly to look at Jihoon. "Whatever this is," she said quietly, "you better start explaining." He met her gaze, and for the first time, there was no distance left between their worlds. "This," he said, "is just the beginning." The car didn't stop, not at traffic lights, not for empty intersections. Not even when sirens echoed somewhere in the distance. Amara sat stiffly in the back seat, her fingers gripping the edge of the leather like it might disappear beneath her. Her heart was still racing, trying to catch up with everything that had just happened. Her home, her life, left behind in minutes. She turned to Jihoon, who sat beside her like the chaos outside had nothing to do with him. Calm, focused, untouchable. "Start talking," she said, her voice low but steady. And now, Jihoon didn't answer immediately. Instead, he looked out the window, watching the city blur past like something distant, something unimportant. That irritated her. Jihoon. His name landed sharper this time. He looked back at her, and finally spoke. "All my name isn't just Jihoon," he said. Amara blinked. "Okay, that's already not a great start." A faint breath of something, almost like a sigh, escaped him. "I'm Park Jihoon," he continued. "And I run an organization most people don't even realize exists." Her stomach tightened. "What kind of organization?" His gaze held hers. "The kind that doesn't forgive weakness." Amara let out a quiet laugh, but there was no humor in it. "Let me guess," she said. "Oh, you're some kind of crime boss." Silence. That was her answer. She leaned back slowly, processing. "Oh, wow," she muttered. "Of course you are." "I am." Because why wouldn't the random bleeding guy in an alley be a whole mafia boss? Jihoon didn't react to her sarcasm. That night, he said, it wasn't random. She frowned. "What does that mean?" "I was ambushed. It was ambushed Tubehu, a rival faction. One that's been waiting for an opportunity to take what's mine. And now they're coming after me because..." She gestured vaguely. "I gave you first aid? Because you kept me alive." That landed heavier than she expected. Amara swallowed. "That's insane." "It's reality." She shook her head, running a hand over her face. "I don't belong in this world," she said. "I don't have anything to do with your enemies, your business, your whatever this is." "I know. Then why am I here?" Jihoon's answer came without hesitation. "Yes, I won't let anything happen to you." Something in his tone made her chest tighten again. Not control, not arrogance, something else. Something certain. Amara looked away. "That doesn't make this okay," she said quietly. "I didn't say it did." The car finally slowed, then turned sharply through a set of iron gates that opened before them. Amara looked up and froze. The place they pulled into wasn't just a house. It was an estate, massive, isolated, surrounded by high walls and security that made her apartment building look like cardboard. The car stopped. One of the men stepped out immediately, opening Jihoon's door. "Sir." Jihoon nodded, then looked at Amara. We're here. She didn't move. This is where you live? She asked. For now. For now? For now? She repeated. You say that like you've got 10 more places like this. He didn't answer. Brave, which told her everything. Unbelievable, she muttered, stepping out of the car. The air here felt different, cleaner, quieter, but also controlled, like nothing happened here without permission. Amara wrapped her arms around herself as they walked inside. The interior was just as overwhelming, minimalist, expensive, precise. Nothing out of place, nothing unnecessary. It didn't feel like a home. It felt like power. You can stay here, Jihoon said. You'll be safe. She turned to him. And what about you? I'll handle everything else. I'll handle everything. That's not what I asked. A pause. Then, I don't stay in one place for long. Her brows pulled together. Because of them. Yes. Amara exhaled slowly. So let me get this straight, she said. You live your life constantly moving, constantly looking over your shoulder, constantly fighting people who want you dead. He watched her, and now she continued. You've dragged me into it. I didn't drag you, he said quietly. You walked into it. That stung, because it was true. She had made the choice to stay, to help, to care. Amara looked down for a moment, then back up at him. Then let me walk out. The room went still. The room went still. Jihoon's expression didn't change, but something in the air shifted instantly. A no. The word was calm, firm, final. Her heart skipped. You don't get to decide that. I already have. Frustration flared inside her. I have a life, she snapped. We have a life, she snapped. A job, responsibilities. People who expect me to show up tomorrow like a normal person, I'll take care of it. That's not the point. Her voice echoed slightly in the large space. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Jihoon stepped closer, not threatening, but close enough that she could feel the weight of his presence. Well, your life is not normal anymore, he said softly. Her breath caught. I didn't ask for that. No, he agreed. But it happened. Silence settled again, but this time it felt heavier, more personal. Amara searched his face. Why do you care so much? He asked. That question lingered between them, longer than any before it. Jihoon didn't look away. Because you didn't look at me like everyone else does. Her chest tightened again. You didn't see power, he continued, or fear, or reputation. He stepped just a little closer. You saw a person. Amara's voice dropped. You were a person. Something in his eyes flickered at that. Brief, unsteady, like a crack in something solid. And now? She asked quietly. Now, he said, his voice lower. You're the only one who still does. The moment stretched. Too close, too real. Amara swallowed, her pulse quickening for reasons she didn't want to name. This doesn't mean I belong here, she said. Jihoon held her gaze. You don't, he admitted. Her chest loosened slightly, until he added, but you belong with me. Her breath hitched. That wasn't control. That wasn't a command. It was something far more dangerous, because part of her, a small, quiet part, didn't want to walk away, and that terrified her more than anything else. Somewhere far beyond the walls of the estate, a phone lit up in the dark. A voice spoke coldly into the receiver. He's taken her. A pause, then a low, dangerous reply. Good. Another voice joined. Then we don't need to hunt him anymore. Silence. And then we make him come to us. The line went dead, and the game had officially begun. Amara didn't sleep. Not in the oversized bed. Not under the soft, expensive sheets, not even when exhaustion dragged at her body like gravity. Because every time she closed her eyes, she saw her old life slipping further away. And every time she opened them, she was still here, in his world. The clock beside the bed read 3:17 a.m. when she finally gave up trying. She sat up, exhaling slowly, then swung her legs over the side. Silence filled the estate. Too much silence. The kind that didn't comfort. It watched. Amara wrapped a loose cardigan around herself and stepped out into the hallway. Dim lights lined the walls, guiding her through a place that still didn't feel real. She didn't know where she was going, she just knew she couldn't stay still. Downstairs, a faint glow spilled from a partially open door. Voices. Low. Controlled. Amara slowed her steps. She didn't mean to listen. Rayon. But then she heard his name. Jihoon is taking a risk, one man said. Another voice replied sharper. She's a liability? Amara froze. Liability. The word hit harder than she expected. She saved his life, someone else added. And now she might cost him everything. Her chest tightened. I say we move her, the first voice continued. Somewhere remote, out of sight. Yeah, no, came Jihoon's voice. Firm, final. Amara's breath caught. As she stays here, he continued. With respect, the other man said carefully, this is not personal, this is strategy. It is both, Jihoon replied. Silence followed, tense, heavy. She's not part of this world, another voice said. She won't survive it. A pause. Then Jihoon spoke again, quieter this time. Then I'll change the world around her. Amara's heart skipped. That wasn't logic, that wasn't strategy, that was something else entirely. Something dangerous. She stepped back quietly before they could notice her, retreating into the shadows of the hallway. Her mind raced. Liability. Risk. Move her forward, kid. They weren't wrong. She didn't belong here. And no matter how calm Jihoon looked, no matter how controlled he seemed, this world would destroy her, unless she left first. Morning came too quickly. Amara stood by the window in the room they had given her, watching the sun rise over a place that still didn't feel like hers. She had made a decision. Simple. Clear. She was leaving. Before she lost herself completely, she found him outside. Of course she did. Jihoon stood near the edge of the estate grounds, speaking quietly into his phone. Even from a distance, he looked like he belonged exactly where he was, untouchable, precise, in control. When he noticed her, he ended the call immediately. You're awake, he said. Foy, didn't sleep. His gaze softened slightly, but only for a second. Something wrong? Amara crossed her arms. I'm leaving. The words hung in the air between them. Jihoon didn't react immediately. Then, no. Her jaw tightened. Stop doing that. Doing what? You're deciding things for me like I don't get a say in my own life. You don't, he said calmly. Ananis. Her eyes flashed. That's not how this works. It is now. Anger rose in her chest. No, she said firmly. You don't get to take one moment, one night, and turn it into control over everything I do. It's not control. Then what is it? Jihoon stepped closer. A protection. I didn't ask for protection. I didn't ask for protection. You needed it. I needed my life back. The words came out sharper than she intended. And for a moment, he said nothing. Amara took a breath, forcing herself to stay steady. I heard them, she said. Last night, something in his expression shifted. What did you hear? That I'm a liability, she said. That I'm a risk. That I don't belong here. Silence. Oh. They're right, she continued. This isn't my world. Jihoon's gaze didn't leave hers. I know. Then let me go. The wind moved softly between them. For a long moment, it felt like everything balanced on his next words. I can't. Her chest tightened. Her chest tightened. Why? He didn't answer immediately. And when he did, his voice was quieter than she had ever heard it. Because the moment you walk out of here, they won't see you as a stranger. A pause. They'll see you as mine. Her breath caught. And in my world, he continued, that makes you a target. Amara swallowed. So I'm trapped either way? No, he said. You're safe here. That's not the same thing. Another silence, this one deeper, more personal. Amara looked at him, really looked this time. Not the power, not the danger. The man. You don't trust anyone, do you? She asked softly. His jaw tightened slightly. That's not true. Then why do you look like someone who's always alone? That question landed differently. He didn't deflect it, didn't avoid it. But he didn't answer either, and somehow that was answer enough. Amara exhaled slowly. I can't stay here forever, she said. You won't have to. Then what happens next? Jihoon looked at her, and for the first time, there was something uncertain in his eyes. The next, he said, I end this. Her brows pulled together. Then what? The threat. And how exactly are you planning to do that? His expression hardened again, shifting back into something colder. More familiar? By making sure they never come near you again? Something about the way he said it made her uneasy. You mean talk to them? She asked. No. Her stomach dropped slightly. Jihoon, they chose this, he said. That doesn't mean it does. His tone cut through her words, not loud, but absolute. Amara stepped closer. This isn't the only way. It's the only way that works. He searched his face. And after that, she asked, after all of this is over? Another pause. Then, I don't know. That honesty caught her off guard. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then, a sudden shout echoed from the front gate. Both of them turned instantly. One of the guards ran toward them. Sir! Jihoon's expression sharpened. What is it? The guard stopped, slightly out of breath. There's a delivery, he said. Jihoon frowned. We're not expecting anything. That's not the problem, the guard replied. A beat. Then he added, it's addressed to her. Amara's heart skipped. Imi? Jihoon's eyes darkened. Bring it here. Minutes later, a small box sat on the table between them. Plain, unmarked, too ordinary. That alone made it dangerous. Don't touch it, Jihoon said. I wasn't planning to. One of his men carefully opened it. Inside, a phone. Just a phone. No packaging, no note. Jihoon picked it up slowly. The screen lit up instantly. A message, one line. He read it silently. Then his expression changed. Not anger, not shock, something colder, controlled. Amara stepped closer. What does it say? Jihoon looked at her, and for the first time since she met him, she felt something close to fear. They know your name, he said. Her breath caught. What? He handed her the phone. Her hands trembled slightly as she looked at the screen. Amara Johnson. Amara Johnson. A second message appeared beneath it. If you want to keep her alive, come alone. The room went still, and just like that, this wasn't just his war anymore. It was hers too. The room didn't just go quiet. It collapsed into silence. Amara stared at the phone in her hand like it might burn her. Her named off? Not just seen. No? How? She whispered. No one answered. Because no one had a good answer, Jihoon took the phone back slowly, his expression unreadable. But the tension in his jaw told a different story. They moved faster than I expected, he said. Amara looked at him sharply. This is your version of handling it? His eyes flicked to her. I said I would end it. I didn't say they wouldn't fight back. That message isn't a fight, she snapped. It's a trap. I know. Then don't go. The words came out too quickly. Too honest. For a split second, Jihoon just looked at her. Then Amara stepped back like he'd said something unbelievable. No, you don't get to just walk into something like that. Escalate. They already have escalated. It gets worse. Her chest rose and fell faster now. This isn't a movie, Jihoon. You don't just go alone into enemy territory and walk out fine. I'm not planning to walk out fine. That stopped her. Cold. Oh, what does that mean? She asked quietly. He didn't answer. And somehow, that was worse than anything he could have said. Sir, we can't let you do this. One of his men cut in. It's too exposed, too controlled on their side. Jihoon didn't even look at him. I prepared the car. Sir, that's a suggestion. The room shifted instantly. Orders moved like electricity. People scattered into motion. Amara stood still, watching, trying to understand how everything was slipping out of her control so fast. She stepped in front of him. No. Jihoon stopped. No. Their eyes locked. I'm not moving, she said, her voice steadier now. Not until you tell me what you're actually planning. I already did. No, you gave me the version that sounds noble, she shot back. Not the truth. Silence. Then, I go alone, he said. They think they have the advantage. That makes them careless. And then I end it. Her jaw tightened. You keep saying that like it's simple. Well, for me, he replied quietly, it is. Something about that made her stomach twist. Not because it sounded confident. Because it sounded practiced. Like he'd done this before. Too many times. Amara shook her head. I'm not letting you do this. You don't have a choice. I do. Ow. She held his gaze. Because I'm the reason you're going. That landed hard. Jihoon's expression shifted just slightly. You think this is about debt? He asked. Well, I think this is about you making a reckless decision because of me. It's not reckless. It is if you don't come back. A pause. Then, I will. You don't know that. I do. How? She demanded. His voice dropped. Because I have something to come back to. The words hit deeper than she expected. Amara felt it. That dangerous pull again. The one she didn't understand. The one she didn't trust. She looked away first. Don't do that, she said quietly. Do what? I'll make this personal. It already is. What? She shook her head. No, you don't get to decide that either. Another silence. Then she said something that surprised even herself. Take me with you. The entire room froze. Jihoon's reaction was immediate. No. Why not? Because that's exactly what they want. Oh, and going alone isn't? It's controlled. It's predictable, she argued. You walk into their plan exactly how they expect you to. And you think bringing you changes that? Yes. How? Amara stepped closer. Because I'm not part of your world, she said. I don't think like them. I don't move like them. That makes me unpredictable. Jihoon studied her. Longer this time. "You're also unprotected," he said. "I'm already a target. That doesn't mean I walk you into danger. You already did the moment you brought me here. That hit." And they both knew it. Amara softened just slightly. "I'm not asking you to protect me," she said. "I'm asking you to trust me." That word lingered. Trust. In his world, it wasn't given. It was earned. And even then, it was rare. Jihoon exhaled slowly. "You don't understand what you're walking into." Then explain it. A pause. "They won't just threaten you," he said. "They'll use you." Amara didn't flinch. "They already are." Another silence. This one different. Balanced. Equal. Finally, Jihoon made a decision. "You stay behind me," he said. "At all times." Her heart skipped. "That's a yes?" "Oh, it's a condition." A small breath of relief escaped her. "I can work with that. Amara." She looked at him. His voice dropped slightly. "If anything goes wrong, we run," she finished. No," he said. She frowned. What? You don't run." "Then what do I do?" He stepped closer. Close enough that his voice didn't need to rise. "You trust me?" Her breath caught. There it was again, that pull, that dangerous, steady certainty in him. And for the first time since all of this started, she didn't fight it. "Okay," she said quietly. An hour later, the car was ready. This time, the air inside felt different, heavier, focused. Amara sat beside Jihoon, her hands resting in her lap, but not trembling anymore. She wasn't calm. She wasn't fearless. But she wasn't the same girl from the alley either. Not anymore. As the gates opened and the car pulled out into the unknown, Jihoon glanced at her. Still time to change your mind." She looked straight ahead. Too late for that. A faint shift in his expression. Not quite a smile, but close. Far across the city, in a dimly lit warehouse, a man leaned back in his chair, watching a live feed from a small screen. The black car, moving exactly where he expected it to. "He's coming," someone said. The man smiled slowly. And he brought her. A pause. Then a perfect. He leaned forward, eyes dark with anticipation. Let's see how far he's willing to go. To keep what he can't let go of. The warehouse stood at the edge of the city like it had something to hide. No lights, no signs, just steel, shadows, and silence. The car slowed, then stopped. The car slowed. Amara felt it before she saw it. Eyes on them, watching from the dark. "Stay close," Jihoon said, his voice low. "I remember," she replied. But her heartbeat had already started to climb. Jihoon stepped out first, calm, like he wasn't walking into a trap. Amara followed. The air was colder here. Thicker, like even the night didn't want to breathe. The large metal door creaked open before they reached it. That alone was enough to confirm everything. They were expected. Inside, dim lights flickered above. Figures stood scattered across the space. Too many, too still, too ready. Amara's instincts screamed. Danger. Jihoon didn't hesitate. He walked forward like he owned the ground beneath him. So she stayed right behind him. Just like he said. A slow clap echoed from the far end of the warehouse. "Impressive," a voice called out. "You actually came." A man stepped into the light, tall, controlled, smiling like he already knew how this would end. Jihoon didn't stop walking. "Cut the performance," he said. "You wanted me here. I'm here." The man's eyes shifted, landing on Amara, and something in his smile deepened. "And you brought her," he said softly. "That's unexpected." Amara felt it. That cold, calculated attention, like she wasn't a person, just leverage. Jihoon moved slightly, blocking part of that gaze without making it obvious. "You said come alone." Jihoon said. "I said come." The man corrected. You filled in the rest." Silence stretched between them. "Then let's not waste time," Jihoon continued. "What do you want?" The man chuckled. "You already know." No," Jihoon replied. "I know what you think you want." A flicker again. Something beneath the surface. "You've been difficult to reach," the man said. Untouchable, careful, predictable. His eyes narrowed slightly. Until now, Amara felt the shift beside her. Jihoon didn't react outwardly, but something inside him focused, sharpened. "And she changed that," the man added, nodding toward her. "Or..." Amara's jaw tightened. "Say what you want," she said suddenly, her voice cutting through the tension. But don't talk about me like I'm not standing here." Every head in the warehouse turned. Jihoon glanced back at her. Just briefly. Not anger, not warning, something else. The man smiled wider. "We," said, amused. "She's not what I expected." Good," Amara replied. "That makes two of us." A few of the men shifted, clearly not used to someone speaking like that here. But the leader, he looked entertained. Dangerously entertained. Like her, he said. Jihoon's voice dropped. That's not mutual. The temperature in the room seemed to drop with it. The man exhaled slowly. Let's make this simple, he said. You've been a problem for too long, and you've been irrelevant, Jihoon replied. That landed. Hard. The smile faded. Just slightly. Careful, the man said. No, Jihoon said calmly. You should have been. A beat. Then everything shifted. Fast. Too fast. One of the men moved. A flash of metal. Amara barely had time to react. Jihoon did. Instantly. He pulled her back. A loud crack echoed through the warehouse. Gunshot. The sound hit her chest before her mind could process it. Everything blurred. Voices. Movement. Chaos. Jihoon pushed her behind a steel column. Stay here, he ordered. What about a stay? And then he was gone. Moving. Fast. Precise. The man who had been calm seconds ago now commanded the room with sharp, aggressive orders. Take him down. More gunshots. Closer. Louder. Amara pressed back against the cold metal, her breath shaking. This wasn't his world anymore. It wasn't controlled. It wasn't planned. This was war. She peeked out and saw him. Jihoon, moving through the chaos like he belonged in it. Every step calculated. Every move deliberate. Not reckless. Not desperate. Deadly. But then something changed. One of the men broke formation. Came from the side. Closer to her. Too close. Amara froze. He saw her. Of course he did. And in his eyes, she wasn't just a bystander. She was the weakness. He moved toward her fast. Too fast. Her body locked until something inside her snapped. Move. She grabbed the nearest thing she could find, a metal rod leaning against the wall. The man lunged and she swung. Hard. The impact shocked her more than him, but it was enough. Enough to slow him. Enough for Jihoon to see. Everything stopped for him in that second. Her in danger because of him. And something inside him broke loose. Not control, not focus. Something darker. Final, he crossed the distance faster than Amara thought possible. And the man never saw it coming. Silence followed. Not complete silence, but the kind that lingers after something irreversible. Jihoon stood there breathing steady. Too steady. Amara stared at him. At what he'd just done. At what this world had turned him into. Their eyes met. And for the first time, she didn't just see the man from the alley, or the one who saved her. She saw all of him. The danger, the power, the cost. Jihoon stepped closer. Are you hurt? He asked, his voice back to calm, back to controlled, like the chaos hadn't just happened. Amara shook her head slowly. No, a pause. Then, are you? He didn't answer, didn't need to. Because in that moment, she realized something far more dangerous than everything else surrounding them. This wasn't temporary. This wasn't something she could just walk away from anymore. Not after this. Not after seeing him like this. Not after becoming part of it. A slow sound of clapping echoed again. They both turned. The man, the leader, was still standing, still watching, still smiling. Even now, beautiful, he said quietly. This is exactly what I wanted to see. Jihoon's expression hardened again. We're out of moves. The man tilted his head. Am I? A click echoed through the warehouse. Sharp. Close. Too close. Amara felt it before she understood it. It was something cold, pressed lightly against the back of her head. Her breath stopped. A voice whispered behind her. Don't move. Jihoon froze completely. The man smiled wider. There it is, he said softly. The one move you can't counter. Amara's heart pounded violently now. Not from fear alone, but from the realization hitting her all at once. This was never about just luring him. It was about breaking him. And she was the key. Jihoon's voice dropped lower than she had ever heard it. Let her go. The man stepped forward slowly. And now why would I do that, he said, when she's the only reason you're finally standing still? Everything stopped. Not the noise, not the tension, not even the danger. Just him. Jihoon stood completely still. For the first time since Amara met him, he wasn't moving forward, he wasn't calculating, he wasn't winning. He was waiting. I'll let her go, he said again. This time slower, colder. Every word edged with something far more dangerous than anger. The man behind Amara pressed the gun slightly harder against her head. Not enough to hurt, enough to remind. Drop your weapon, the leader said calmly. Jihoon didn't move. Do it, the man repeated. Silence stretched. Amara's heartbeat thundered in her ears. This wasn't just a standoff. This was a breaking point, and she could feel it. The shift. The moment everything could collapse. Jihoon, she said quietly. His eyes flicked to her, just for a second. And in that second, she saw it. Not fear, not weakness, but something far deeper. Conflict. You said trust you, she whispered. The room held its breath. I so trust me now. His jaw tightened. The man laughed softly. This is touching, he said. Really? But let's not pretend this ends well for both of you. Amara swallowed, then made a choice. Not careful, not safe, but hers. Her hand moved slowly at first, then fast. She grabbed the wrist of the man behind her and twisted. The gun fired. The sound exploded through the warehouse, but the bullet went wide. Chaos snapped back into motion. A move, Jihoon shouted. This time, he didn't hesitate. Everything he held back, everything he restrained, it broke loose. Fast, precise, final. Within seconds, the balance shifted. Men who had stood confident moments ago now stumbled back, caught off guard by how quickly control had slipped through their hand. The leader's smile disappeared. For the first time, he looked uncertain. End it? Jihoon said quietly. His voice carried across the warehouse like a verdict. And just like that, it was over. Minutes later, the warehouse felt different. Empty, broken, finished. Amara stood still, her chest rising and falling as the adrenaline slowly faded. Her hands trembled slightly, but she was still standing. Jihoon walked toward her, slower this time, careful, like she might disappear if he moved too fast. Are you hurt? He asked again. She shook her head. He asked again. She shook her head. Oh no. A pause. Then you. He looked at her. And for the first time since all of this started, there was no distance in his eyes. Oh no, he said quietly. Silence settled between them. Not heavy, not tense. Just real. Amara exhaled slowly. It's over. Jihoon glanced around once, then back at her. Yes. The word felt strange after everything. After the chaos, the danger, the fear, it was just over. Amara let that sink in, then asked the one question that had been waiting at the edge of everything. What happens now? Jihoon didn't answer immediately. He stepped closer instead. Close enough that the noise of the world faded again. Close enough that this moment felt separate from everything else. You go back, he said, her brows pulled together. A back? To your life. She stared at him. At me life? She let out a quiet, almost disbelieving breath. You think I can just go back? She asked, like none of this happened? You can, he said. And you? A pause. Then lie, stay here. That answer landed exactly how it sounded. Heavy. Certain, separate. Amara looked away for a moment, then back at him. That's it? She asked softly. We just walk away? Jihoon didn't move. Didn't look away. Yes, her chest tightened. Something about that felt wrong. Incomplete. Like a story stopping mid-sentence. You said I was safe here, she said. You said I didn't belong in your world. You don't. And now you're just letting me go. His voice dropped slightly. I'm choosing to? That wasn't easier to hear. If anything, it made it worse. Amara shook her head slightly. You don't mean that. I do. I know, she said, stepping closer. You don't? Their eyes locked again. And this time, there was nothing left unspoken between them. You came back for me, she said quietly. You risked everything for me. You stood there and let them point a gun at your head because of me. A beat. And now you're telling me none of that matters? It matters, he said. Then why does this feel like goodbye? Because it was. They both knew it, even if neither of them wanted to say it. Jihoon exhaled slowly. This world doesn't change, he said. It doesn't become safer, doesn't become kinder. Amara didn't look away. I know, and you deserve better than this. Her voice softened. Now, that's not your decision to make. Another silence. But this one, different, stronger, further stronger. Amara took one more step forward, closing the last bit of distance between them. I didn't choose your world, she said, but I chose you. That hit harder than anything else. Jihoon's control, so precise, so unshakable, cracked, just enough. You don't understand what that means, he said quietly. Then don't push me away because of it. Their breathing synced for a moment. Close, real, unavoidable. You said I saw you as a person, she continued. I do. Then let me decide what I can handle. Another pause, longer this time. Then Jihoon made a different choice, not the safe one. Not the logical one, but the only one that felt real. He reached for her. Slowly, like giving her time to step back. She didn't. His hand found hers. Warm, steady, certain. You don't walk away from this, he said quietly. Amara's lips curved slightly, and neither do you. A faint breath, almost a laugh, escaped him. And just like that, the distance between them disappeared. Not because the world got easier, not because the danger vanished, but because they stopped pretending it would. Outside, the first light of morning began to rise. A new day. A different, beginning falling, and this time they stepped into it together.